Hi everyone and welcome back to the 2025 World Championship in Paris. Of course, it's the peak of an entire Yu-Gi-Oh season. It's the most important tournament of the year, and as mentioned, players coming from all over the world to compete at the highest level. But personally, I think it's also a great occasion to meet with some familiar faces that you might not see all over the years, since you might be competing in Europe and they might be competing in North America, South America, or over to the OCG. And I think that's the case also for us, commentators, and it's great to have the chance, as we sometimes do, to be together with you, Billy, as we've known each other for quite a few years, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a long time now, Marcello. I don't even remember when we first met. It was at least 2015, maybe 2016, around that time. It's been way too long. But yeah, being able to come together and commentate together at the World Championship is always something I look forward to every year, because we get to see some of the best players.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, a lot has changed throughout these 10 plus years that we have known each other. And I think we are among the few players I think we have been lucky enough to experience most of this amazing game. First and foremost as players and fans, I think, of the game back in the day. And we have had our share of success, I would say. Neither of us can complain, but we both, if there is something we have missed for us, is the World Championship, which the title speaks for itself of how difficult it can be. But I think it's nice to maybe go back and think about how and what it meant for us to maybe go to the World Championship for the first and only time, I think, both of us.
Yeah, you got a little bit closer than I did. I got 12th. I believe you made top 4, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a long time ago in an experience. But yeah, competing at the World Championship is just, it's really unlike anything else. The nerves, the stress, kind of, because it's such a hard tournament to qualify for, and then once you finally get there, you want to do the best you can and win the tournament. And playing versus commentating is just worlds different. When I'm playing, I don't want to say like I'm a little more selfish, I guess, but it's only me on the line. Like, I know there's people out there that want you or me to do well in the tournament, but as a player, like, I'm the only one to let myself down. If I don't know something about a card or an interaction, I'm the only one who gets punished for that. But then you take it to the commentary side, I'm trying to provide the best knowledge I can to the people at home. So, like, maybe they haven't played Yu-Gi-Oh recently, don't know what's really going on. I want to be able to explain what's going on, convey, and kind of get those players back into it. So if someone's like, watching through the streams, they're going through YouTube and they're like, oh, the Yu-Gi-Oh World Championship's on, let me, jump in there and see what's going on. So you have to, like, as a commentator, I have to know everything. I want to know all the card names, all the matchups, how they all work against each other. But as a player, like, you still want to, if you want to do well, you're better off knowing that stuff, but it's not like a guarantee. You can learn on the fly. Like, if you haven't played against a certain deck, you can adapt. At least certain players can, like, adapt and adjust as you're going through the game. But as a commentator, you have to have so much more preparation, I think, going into the tournament. I don't know if you have like a similar experience with that.
Yeah, absolutely, totally. And I think maybe some fans and duelists just assume that it's the other way around, maybe. And when they come up to me and having known my career, let's say, as a player, then they're like, oh, maybe you're preparing less now. And I'm actually quite the opposite, because all of those niche decks, also because generally speaking, the concept at least is that for us, we want to try and showcase the diversity of the events. So most likely on stream, you will get, those niche decks, and obviously you need to entertain people at home, as you've mentioned, and it's quite different. I think both of us were extremely focused players while at the table. So maybe, you can have a little bit of a chit chat, but like during the match, you're extremely focused on that, on the gameplay, probably thinking ahead. Always I draw some comparison, between chess and Yu-Gi-Oh in the way where you can try and, prepare turns in advance. Well, you're doing commentary, no, not quite. You need to,
you're there for the ride a little
exactly,
bit.
and yeah, it is a lot about preparing for the field in a different ways, and especially the card names. I think it's something that as a player I was terrible at.
Yeah, you don't need to know anything. You just have to know, like, oh, this card puts my monster face down, so this has a Book of Moon-like effect. I don't need to know what it's called. Yeah, but as a commentator, you definitely want to know all the card names.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I think anyways, it's a great way to still be part of the game, because I think in a lot of events, but obviously when you go to the World Championship, it's quite different. I feel that even as a commentator, and I don't know if you can relate to that, you feel the tension, you feel the atmosphere, you know, that special atmosphere going on, especially when you reach even at YCS or, you know, WCQ events, those semifinals, finals. It's electric, you know, in the air, and I think we have both the luxury of knowing what it feels like to sit at those tables, and I think, you know, it just brings back a lot of emotions for me.
Oh yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
Kind of living vicariously through the players that do well. I am guilty as charged of that for sure. You know, because we're competitors at the end of the day. Even though we're commentating, we still have that competitive spirit. We want to be in that position. If someone offered me like, oh, you could commentate or you could play in the World Championship, I'm gonna pick playing the World Championship every single time. But you know, I love commentary. I love doing this side of the thing and seeing how many. The cool part is like behind the curtain. There's so many people who work so hard behind the scenes. There's so much that go into these tournaments that the players may not ever think about or know. They're just, oh, pairings are up. This is the table I go to. Time to duel. But there's so much on the back end for this event to even happen, and to bring the coordination for all the players around the world. And being on the commentary team, you kind of get a view into that world and seeing how much hard work goes on before you even get a chance to duel.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a different perspective on it. Even on the work of judges, I would say, you know, as a player, you are almost a little bit afraid maybe of, you know, having to rely on a judge call, but then you get to see just how much work they put in from a lot of different things, and they are an essential part even of the stream, you know. Without them, obviously, you know, a lot of stuff can happen on stream, and luckily, you know, they're there to catch it and correct any possible slip up. But I mean, just touching back on the World Championship, as mentioned, we both went together in 2017, which I think was a crucial turning point in the game, because it was the first time ever that, you know, the points were introduced, and so you could qualify in a way other than competing, you know, at the end of the year in the championship.
Yeah, that's how I got there. I know you went, you went there for the point playoff, but I'm pretty sure you also won the EU WCQ that year.
True. Yes, I guess so.
You didn't need the points in the end of the.
Guilty. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, that was. I remember just the emotions when I read that announcement. I was honestly shocked in a positive way, because I mean, you have won definitely more YCSs than I did, but I remember, you know, that after winning, my dream was just going to the World Championship, having a chance there, and I got close very, you know, a lot of times, but then it was heartbreaking when you couldn't make it, and getting that feeling of, okay, I can go there in a different way, grind all season. I remember it's still the most Yu-Gi-Oh! I've played in my life. Like every weekend I was going, you know, regionals, and
I remember seeing the Chicago regional. Exactly. Now it doesn't work that way. You can't go across the pond
absolutely,
there for the points, but that year you could.
Yeah, I could. I did, you know, I tried my best just to get there. And I think it's probably, I mean, I've talked about it before, but I don't think it's a chance that then I won that European Championship, because I mean, I played more than anyone else, I think, and so you get better by playing more, of course.
And we still see that too this year. Even at the NAWCQ, Julian, he got in the points playoff, qualified for the points playoff, and then made the top 4 of the NAWCQ. So the invite got passed down to another player, Charlie, actually, who's a reigning Dragon Duel, not a reigning, but a previous Dragon Duel world champion. He won a YCS this year. I think he was like 17th in our point playoff, so he was just shy of missing the playoff. And just shy of missing that top 4 cutoff, but still made it. But I think the biggest thing is just from a player versus a commentator perspective, it's just the love of the game is still there. The way they're similar is like it's the passion, the love, being able to spread, you know, Yu-Gi-Oh! To everyone and let them know like how awesome this game is probably my favorite part about being a commentator. And I think I've really grown into the role. And you know, I do miss being a competitor. But I do love that I'm able to bring the joy of Yu-Gi-Oh! To all the people around the world through commentary. Don't you feel similar?
Totally. I definitely think that it has been a big part of the game, but it has changed also a lot, you know, in terms of production, in terms of just the quality that we bring, I think, to Yu-Gi-Oh! And I think it's essential for people getting into the game, you know, having this kind of content that they can just watch and rewatch, even not live, you know, and enjoy and just see. Also, it adds a lot to the story when you can get to see how our players made it, how it, you know, became champion, and I think it's special. And I totally believe with you that I think we both share a huge love for this game. And so what's great for us is to see, you know, new people, even new generations getting into it. And if we can find a way to, you know, help that game grow. I think it's great, and honestly, I think it also allows us to, you know, understand better how the emotions of the players get into the game. Obviously, we try to get and be as unbiased as possible while doing commentary.
It's hard.
It's tough. It's tough, not gonna lie. And I just want to mention, for example, at the European Championship, you know, this year, I saw Lorenzo Muselli, Italian, you know, getting that title, and I've known him quite well because he's much younger than, you know, than me, than us, but he grew up watching me and my friend, you know, Stefano Memoli, and I've talked about it after the finals, where it's kind of like three European champions, you know, knowing each other, and me looking up to Stefano, and then him looking up to me and Stefano, and so, you know, it's a lot of those stories in the game that just make it so unique, I think.
Yeah, the passing of the flag, kind of.
Yeah.
I also feel the same kind of way. I mean, my entire Yu-Gi-Oh career, I dreamed of winning, or just anybody from the U.S. or North America winning the World Championship. I guess U.S. specifically, because Canada also won before the U.S. was able to capture a title. And being a commentator at the World Championship when Paulie won a couple of years ago, and we were finally able to take home the title, I teared up.
I remember.
Yeah, it meant so much to me, and I felt just as good there, maybe even better than when I actually like won myself at the WCS.
Yeah.
And I like that you touched on how the coverage has increased and gotten so much better over the years. Like I have 4 wins, but 3 of those were pre-streaming era.
Yeah.
So did they even really happen?
Exactly.
Like you have to go back and read the written coverage. I mean, the written coverage is phenomenal, and we still have it. You know, written coverage that go along with our live streams.
Yeah.
So live streams are just in addition to that as well. But the way that the production has grown, the fact that I'm sitting here having this interview with you is just awesome. But yeah, watching the game grow over the years, more players attending tournaments than ever, and then having more people at the World Championship than ever. You know, it used to just be TCG. It was a very small event. Now we have Master Duel. We have Duel Links Speed Duel, Duel Links Rush Duel. There's more ways to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Than ever, and having them all compete here at the World Championship is just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's special. It also brings, you know, a lot of different skills to the game. So it's one game, but really it's not, you know. Nowadays in 2025, you have a lot of ways of playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's amazing to see, you know, the different representation here, as you've mentioned, players from all over the world. And I'm sure, you know, some of the skills overlap, but some are definitely unique to them. And you see also the consistency that these players bring, not only in the TCG, but obviously the big highlight of the weekend for Master Duel will be this back-to-back finals. You know something about back-to-back finals?
It happens to the best of us sometimes.
Exactly. And, you know, also in the categories of, you know, Duel Links, we've seen some amazing players, again, bringing and qualifying year after year when the competition is fierce, because you're playing against thousands of players online to qualify. It's brutal, but they still make it, which means, you know, that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is just so much about it. And I think touching on it, just something I'm curious to hear your opinion about is, obviously we experienced the TCG side, but technically this is the only event in which you get to compete against players also from, you know, Japan and OCG. And I want to hear, you know, if you've had any experience during the World Championship, how that was different. Because to touch on that, I think the highlight of the past 2 World Championships, obviously won by your guys, let's say.
Hey,
you know,
once that door opened, we haven't closed it
exactly.
yet. Yeah.
I think, though, was probably due to the fact that in the past they maybe had, you know, more of an advantage depending on the formats, and that's, you know, why it's so unique. I think this year might be the first time that, again, they might have an advantage, because I believe, you know, Maxi, outside of, you know, getting semi-limited, Mulcharmies now are here as well, and so the, you know, the line is getting thinner and thinner of the differences, but they're experiencing this format longer than us.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's definitely one of the things I'm looking forward to in the TCG tournament is how the different territories are going to compete. Because yeah, they've had the Justice Hunters cards for a little bit longer than a decent amount of time longer than the TCG players. So how that's going to play out is going to be interesting to see, and that's something as a commentator that I'm excited to do. I don't have to worry about having the best deck in the room. I don't have to worry about finding the tech that's going to, you know, beat everybody. But I do get to still experience those things. I get to more so enjoy it, just like the viewers at home. And I've really grown to appreciate that over the years. Like I said, we're still competitors at the heart, but I'm still I'm a bigger fan of the game than ever. And being able to commentate the matches means everything.
Nice. And yeah, it's glad to hear, and you know, I'm grateful to have this talk with you. So before we move on to it, though, I have one final question, which I'm gonna bring you into our own rituals in the European coverage, which is the prediction for what deck for the TCG, since we are gonna be going over the coverage for TCG, is going to win 2025 World Championship.
It's gonna be a tough call, but I mean, yeah, you caught me, on the spot. But I'm gonna go Yummy. I gotta go Yummy. I love Yummy Surprise. I like the way the deck plays. I like how it can play into the Multarmies a little bit better than some of the other decks. But I'm picking Yummy. How about you, Marcello? What's your pick to win this?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. If I was a player, I would have agreed with you on Yummy. But just to keep things spicy, I'm gonna go with, some of other known players. I'm not gonna say it, but I know they will be on K9 Vanquish Soul. So let's just call that my pick for this event. We'll see at the end of the day who is gonna prevail. But thank you guys, and thank you Billy for this amazing talk. And make sure to don't go anywhere, because we'll be back soon with more action here in Paris.